Hello and welcome to Shoot the Hostage with me, Dan, and my partner, Sarah. We're a movie podcast who talks about a different film each week based on a theme. We do swear and we do spoil the featured movie, so only ever listen if you've seen the film or you don't care too much about spoilers. If you're a regular listener, you can just skip forward until you hear the intro music because you've heard all of this before. But if you are new to the show and you do enjoy what you hear, there are a couple of things you can do to help support the show. Firstly, make sure that you're subscribed on your podcast player so you get notified when new shows drop on Mondays. You could rate us 5 stars on Spotify, which couldn't be easier. You just hit the star icon below the show's artwork. Or if you have a spare few minutes, we'd love it if you could submit a review wherever you listen. Make sure you come follow us at STH_pod on social media. We are active on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And lastly, the biggest thing you can do to help is tell a friend about the show. So that's about it. That's enough preamble from me. Over to me and Sarah for this week's episode. I wasn't very sure how to start this episode. I had a few options in my head. I was thinking, could we go with a Bowie impression? Leave that, I think, for an impromptu moment during a show.
Oh, I was going to say there will be some, surely.
It's a fair assumption. And then I thought, could I do the worm? Could I go, hello?
Oh, right. When you said, can I do the worm, I thought you meant like the breakdancing move.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's going to be able to see that.
No. So I might be doing the worm.
You might be, yeah.
You can't prove that I'm not doing the worm.
I mean, you're not.
I think that I am doing the worm.
You're delusional. What was the third option?
There was probably a third option, which I've forgotten. I don't know. Do you know
so
what?
you went with this?
Just be honest.
Yeah.
I did write down Labyrinth in my notes, but that's not the movie we're covering, is it? It's called, what's it actually called?
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. The Labyrinth?
Labyrinth.
Just Labyrinth, no the.
No.
Okay. Well, I wrote Labyrinth, so my brain's just going to be going Labyrinth all episode.
Cool. I don't think there's a film named Labyrinth, to the best of my knowledge.
There is. It's this one. It's the Bowie one.
Is it? Cool. I think I might have watched the wrong thing. I don't think it's going to come as a shock to anybody that this was my choice.
Yep. It was your choice. For the penultimate episode, you're doing all the evens. This is your last one.
I'm so sad, but
The
I'm
flops.
happy that I'm going out on Labyrinth.
Yeah, okay.
Labyrinth, sorry.
Labyrinth. I mean, what? You're always going to get this on an episode somewhere.
I've never covered this before.
That's crazy.
On any podcast. It is way past due, and I'm so excited. I think probably, Empire Records aside, this is without doubt the film I've seen most in my life.
Is it really?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you saw it and the circumstances?
I don't really, because when I was a kid in the 80s, it was on TV at Christmas.
And Sundays.
Every single year without fail. And so I definitely watched it yearly when I was a kid. And then there was one year it wasn't on and I was distraught. I was beside myself. So I think at that point we must have invested in a VHS copy, at which point I just never stopped watching it.
Yeah. So it's always been with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Could have formed part of your personality, you might say. Might have helped shape the person that you are.
I don't know what you're trying to suggest.
You don't have a labyrinth tattoo, you were saying.
Not yet.
That's
I'm kind of
crazy.
amazed. It's something I've thought about a lot over the years.
Is it because
obviously
you're not sure what to do, or
yeah,
do you know what you want and you just don't want to?
No,
you don't want it to be over. You want it to be always before, like pre-labyrinth tattoo, not post-labyrinth tattoo. So you can look forward to that.
I think it's just the paralysis of choice.
You're right. Okay.
And I had a friend that had a full half sleeve of Labyrinth stuff.
What the Bowie stuff, the Goblin stuff?
Bowie was central. Bowie was central, but there was a bunch of other characters as well. Ludo was on there. Like it was pretty cool.
Ludo. This is our second David Bowie movie.
It is.
Again, you're a big fan of Bowie, so I'm not surprised at that. And I think we spoke about in our, what was it, the man what fell to earth.
Yeah, as it's colloquially known.
He's done way more movies than I had realised. So maybe he'll come up again.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, when did you see this for the first time?
I don't know. It's just it's
cool story.
I don't remember. It's just always been something that was just there.
But you saw it as a child?
I definitely saw it as a kid.
Right.
It was 86 it came out, so I was 2. So I was probably about the right age when it started to be shown on television.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we had a recorded off the television version without the first few minutes in, which was often the case. I seem to remember, but yeah, I saw it, I guess like every other kid born in that time period, it was always on. It was always on Sundays for some reason. I don't know if that was just because it was on TV or we would just play the VHS on Sundays. Or
it's Sundays, Labyrinth Day.
Yeah, it's Labyrinth Day. So yeah, I mean, I probably saw it quite a lot because it was always on. And then I didn't see it for years and years and years, like since I was like 8 or 9 or something. And then you put it on a couple of years ago. It's the first time I've seen it in
me.
ages. Yes. And I watched it 3 or 4 times now since then, I think.
Yeah, we saw it at the open air cinema last summer.
Did we?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, I have a photo.
Why do I have no memory of that whatsoever?
I don't know.
I remember seeing Baby Driver on the open air cinema.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Romeo and Juliet.
Uh-huh. And Labyrinth.
Was it raining?
No, it was really sunny. It was during the day.
Oh, Lord. Yes, we saw that. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
I'd seen it on a big screen before.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to have a different experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, especially when your partner isn't paying attention and doesn't remember it a year after the fact.
I was paying attention. I just don't remember it.
So I think it's safe to say that you don't necessarily have any enduring love for this movie from childhood.
No, not really. I have a certain fondness for it, I would say, just because it was kind of part of that fabric of growing up.
Yeah.
And everyone knew the references and stuff like that. But no, enduring love is probably a bit strong. I was just like, oh, that's the cool thing that was kind of around for a bit when I was a kid.
But you thought it was cool?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
That surprises me. Well, I don't know.
It's a movie. And like, I'm not really a puppet person, I must say. Like, the Muppets never really interested me. Or the are Fraggle Rock's Muppets? Are they in the same Muppet verse?
Fraggle Rock is another Henson production.
Right, so they're Muppets as well?
They're not Muppets, no.
So not all puppets made by Henson are Muppets?
But all Muppets are puppets.
All Muppets are puppets?
Yeah, okay. But not all puppets are Muppets.
These are the important questions
yeah.
that I kind of wanted to start the show with.
Yeah.
And Fraggle Rocks, they're not Muppets, did you say?
Fraggles are Fraggles.
Fraggles. They're Fraggles, they're not rocks. Or
they live in Fraggle Rock.
They live on one big rock? Is it one big rock or lots of like little rocks, but they pretend it was one big rock and it sort of broke apart like
I mean,
Pangea.
Technically they were like part subterranean.
Were they? Does that mean they live underwater like mammals?
Underground. Like mammals.
Yeah. Like what lives underground? Like beavers.
Should we talk about Labyrinth?
Yeah, I guess so. It's impossible not to think about like burrowing animals when you're watching a film like Labyrinth, because all of the kind of the creature design, they're all the Muppets and the puppets. I'm going to say Muppets.
Sure, okay.
The puppets are all very animal-like.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them are more humanoid than others, but in appearance.
Kind of like a grotesque mixture.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Especially the goblins.
Yeah.
Do you have any fondness for any other Jim Henson creations? Obviously, you're not a fan of the Muppets. I'm guessing by that conversation, you're not a fan of Fraggle Rock either.
I hated Fraggle Rock.
You hated it? That's strong words.
I didn't... Well, I think that Fraggle Rock might have been on Sundays about 5 p.m.
Right.
And I was like, oh, fuck, it's time to go to school tomorrow. And it annoyed me. So anything that was on at Sunday after sort of 5 p.m, I didn't like. But that did include Songs of Praise and Antiques Roadshow. That's
just an unfair connotation.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't on Sundays, but I remember getting quite annoyed by the song, I think.
Down a Fraggle Rock.
Yes.
You didn't like that?
I don't think so. You'd have to ask my mum, but my memory of it is that I didn't really care for it. And it was the same with the Muppets. I think I could take or leave the Muppets, to be honest. I wasn't like, I didn't have any strong feelings either way. I was like, oh, it's the fabric frog guy. But as I've gotten older, I can sort of appreciate it a bit more for the sense of sort of humour it has and the silly comedy. I've never seen a Muppet film in my life, not one.
Wow.
And some of them are quite good, I'm told.
Yeah.
What's a good one to start with from a Muppet virgin?
I mean, A Muppet Christmas Carol is a classic for a reason.
Is that the one that's based on A Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
But it's Muppets?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so glad you put that together.
Yeah.
I haven't, there's a couple of more recent ones that I haven't actually seen.
Was there one, did Ricky Gervais make one?
I don't think Ricky Gervais made one. He might have been in something.
Is he in one? I'm sure I saw, wasn't that the last one maybe?
Maybe.
Like
there was one with, I think,
ago?
Jason Segel, which I didn't see.
I remember that being marketed and
Yeah.
they drive a car underwater or something, I think, is the premise.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know I saw Muppets in Space at the cinema.
Oh, that was about 97-ish, was it?
I want to say like a little bit later than that, 98, 99.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that as well.
I was a
being
teenager.
marketed.
I was too old to be going to see Muppets in Space, put it that way.
But the Muppets, don't they like appeal to people of all ages? And isn't it one of those things that, like, for me, I say that I appreciate it more now that I'm older and find it funny, whereas I didn't so much as a kid?
Maybe.
Like
I don't really know. I think most of the adults that I know who embrace Jim Henson's stuff are people that grew up with it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So there's a definite nostalgia factor there.
What year was the Muppet Christmas Carol? Was that in the 90s?
Yes, I believe so. It's early to mid.
So when we were growing up, we had the Dark Crystal, like Henson, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Muppets, and he was the Fraggle Rock guy as well.
He did Fraggle Rock.
He was the Fraggle Rock guy.
He did the Storyteller.
Is that a Macaulay Culkin film?
What? No, I know what you're thinking of.
The Story Boy. The Paper Boy.
Jim Henson's The Storyteller.
Right, okay.
And it was John Hurt with his dog sitting by the fire telling folk tales, basically, or versions of folk tales. And it was just fantastic. Because I think, I don't know, Labyrinth has some darkness. Dark Crystal definitely has some darkness.
Yeah.
Storyteller definitely goes to some dark places. I think I really like that sort of whimsy when it's tinged by a bit of bleakness, maybe, a bit of darkness. I think that's my favourite Henson. Yeah,
there is a bit of a darkness to all of it, isn't there? Like there's a bit of kind of, it's an odd mixture of like cutting sort of humour / satire maybe in places.
And there's a lot of whimsy and silliness and just fun. Like Jim Henson struck me as quite a serious man, but very silly as well.
Yeah. Like complicated.
Yeah,
man.
Certainly serious about his craft, but definitely embraced the silly a lot.
And I think that's what I'm coming to appreciate more from his creations, is more knowing that they're his creations and they've come from his brain. The context of after we watched that documentary about Henson, for me, I just get sort of getting more and more fond of the stuff. And we did watch an episode of the Muppets, which was all right. It was silly and funny, but and fun. But I don't know if I could just sit there and watch it like every week or whatever.
That's
it was
fair.
Coming out.
The older I get, the more I relate to Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, they're the moany old couple, weren't they?
They sit high up in the box and just heckle them.
Right. Yeah. They're not Bert and Ernie.
No.
Bert and Ernie they're not Muppets, are they? Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie was Sesame Street.
Which Henson must have had a hand in.
I see what you did there.
Because it's a puppet thing during that time. I think he did, didn't he? I'm sure we heard that somewhere on a documentary. But so Henson putting out things like Dark Crystal, Labyrinth in the 80s. When did The Storyteller come out? Was that post Labyrinth?
Oh, do you know what? I can't actually remember. It was definitely very firmly in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I think it was late 80s. I think it was after Labyrinth, yes.
So it probably would have been Labyrinth, that movie, and then we lost him, right? Was it 1990?
Yeah, I think so.
And then you get a few Muppets movies, the Christmas one, the space one,
Treasure Island.
There's a Muppets Treasure Island
There
as
is,
well,
yeah.
isn't there? In there, that's also in the 90s. So I think so. You had like 3 Muppets movies out in a decade.
Mhm.
Who's controlling those? What was it?
Honestly, I'm not
Jim Henson
sure.
Company? Do you think?
Oh
Or was
yeah,
it
I imagine so. I think his kids probably had a lot of weight in terms of the decision making.
One of his kids being Brian Henson, who is the voice of Boggle in Labyrinth.
Hogwarts.
Brain rot. Yeah, so I was just wondering sort of who continued with it, really, who sort of ran with it, because people like those Muppies. They like those Muppets movies from the 90s. So there must be some sort of consistency, I'm guessing. Like, it's not like a new person came along and was like, oh, I'm going to make my Muppets. Can you see the difference between the 90s Henson Company, whatever it is, creations to like the 80s stuff? Or is there more consistency there? People seem to enjoy them nonetheless.
Obviously, I can only speak to the ones that I've seen, so I can't comment on the more recent ones. But yeah, I think there is a good amount of consistency. I think it shows that his kids, or at the very least his son, was very much involved in the puppeteering and the voice work growing up. Like you can tell his childhood was sort of immersed in that world. So I think it's pretty in keeping, yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that Jim would have, as soon as the baby could move their thumbs, he was like, right, get in this fucking Muppet costume. Stat. You work for me now, boy. Put that latex over you. Shut up and do a voice. Shut up and do a voice? It's very confusing living when Jim Henson's your father.
Contradictory instructions.
Yeah. But they haven't done anything for a while, I don't think. Maybe they have. Puppet things in general are pretty scarce, aren't they? They don't come around very often.
They're pretty thin on the ground now, and I hate to say it, but I think it really is a dying art.
It probably is. Well, I guess, but Henson was the puppet guy. Who else was really doing puppet stuff?
Honestly, I don't know. I know that like the Henson Company from memory, I think they sort of branched out a little bit into kind of more effects work, but they still
did they?
Yeah, when I say effects work, it's still sort of like largely puppets and creation based. Yeah, that's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still have like a big office building, and you know, they have a TikTok account
they do
that
things,
I might follow.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. I'd have watched some of those.
They are still doing stuff.
Yeah.
It looks like a fun place to work. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I bet it is. The last puppet thing I can remember is that Melissa McCarthy thing when she's a police officer or something.
Yeah, I know the one.
And I don't know, I haven't seen it, so I don't really know the premise, but I think the premise might be that she's human and everyone else is a puppet that lives in that world or something.
That's weird.
And it's just played like a regular detective.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's more funny than that. More complicated than that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Played straight, I think, is the phrase that I was looking for.
Yeah. Obviously, there have been more recent things, like they revived the Dark Crystal.
Oh, Louis Leterrier did that.
Yeah, but obviously it was all Henson's guys
right.
who were doing the puppet work, and it was all kind of built from scratch and just insane scale. But much like a lot of his other stuff, I don't necessarily think it was as profitable as they wanted it to be. Well, it must have cost a small fortune.
Yeah, that was what, a 10 hour run, was it? 200 million maybe?
Easy.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have been very expensive. Not to mention all the voice actors. They were all celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like they were just casting unknowns.
Like Martin Freeman. Was Martin
I was
Freeman...
thinking more like Simon Pegg and Alicia Vikander and Anya Taylor-Joy.
Right.
Taron Egerton, you know, actual people.
Right, okay. Yes. And that was very critically praised, though, that show, wasn't it?
Yes.
And loved, and you enjoyed it. And it was
did.
A sequel or prequel to that thing that you really liked?
Prequel.
It's a prequel, right.
Yeah, but I know there was some talk of it getting renewed and doing more, but it's been tumbleweeds ever since, so I'm guessing it didn't do as well as they'd hoped.
Like you say, it's probably just down to cost and logistics, because it's very costly.
time consuming.
It's very time consuming.
Yeah.
It's very costly partly because it's very time consuming. And I guess there's probably a certain degree, like, do we want to tie up as many resources? I hate this, but do we want to tie up as many resources into this one project?
Production accountant coming out.
Yeah. Is it worth it? And I mean, obviously it was, because people loved it, and you liked it, so you've got it now. It would probably be nice to see more of that sort of thing.
I would love that. Yeah.
They have been working on a sequel to Labyrinth for the longest time, which we might talk about a little bit later, perhaps. Eggers. Yeah. But I don't know. I've wanted to get a bit of context on the whole situation, really, because obviously you like the Muppets. You like the Muppets. You're a Muppet person.
Yeah.
And I want to understand.
I don't necessarily like being called a Muppet person.
No.
But yes, broadly speaking, I am a Muppet person. Yeah. I'm a Jim Henson guy.
Yeah.
I think he was, from all anecdotal evidence, seemed like he was an excellent human being and had a hell of an imagination and a hell of a sense of humour. And it's very sad that we lost him when we did.
Yeah, so early. So early. But his legacy...
Was he like 53 or something? He was pretty young.
I guess he looked about that sort of age when we were watching the Labyrinth behind the scenes stuff. So, yeah. But his legacy lives on. And we did get Labyrinth, which is something that we get to talk about for a little bit now. Did you know there were 25 drafts of the script?
25?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were that many, no. I do know that Terry Jones, obviously of Monty Python fame, wrote an initial script, and then it was passed around to a bunch of other people for rewrites and additions. And then I heard that Jim Henson got the whatever number draft it was and was kind of bummed out because all the humour had gone. Right. So he handed it back to Terry Jones and was like, put all the jokes back in. So I think it certainly sounds like what we ended up with was pretty close to Terry Jones' initial screenplay. But I think some stuff that he wanted in there was taken out. Right.
And also you had contributions from obviously Henson himself, other writers, and the artist guy. What's his name? Brian Froud. Yeah, that's it. So just a lot of different ideas and kind of put in this little cooking pot, and then they heated it up and they cooked a big drink of what we now know of the movie The Labyrinth. There's no the. It surprised me that there were 25 versions of this script because I think back to last week, and it's 15 versions of scripts less than the movie Driven than Slide produced for that. So I was surprised. I was surprised by that. It was shot for the most part in the UK over here, so we get to claim that. It was shot at Elstree.
Elstree, yeah. I thought so.
And a park somewhere up in Buckinghamshire that you showed me the photo of earlier.
In High Wycombe,
right?
I believe, yeah.
And it's interesting because it does feel like a very British movie. I guess, especially with some of the humour, where it's a bit more like you say, a little bit darker
and a bit kind of anarchic at times.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Well.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the Terry Jones of it all.
Yeah, you can see him all over it. Particularly there's one particular character in the movie that makes me think that is basically him.
Oh, which one?
It's the guys that lift up the pavement slabs.
Oh, right.
And turn over with the arrows, so Sarah doesn't know where she's going in the labyrinth.
I see. Yeah. It's funny because when you think about it through a Monty Python lens, some of the humour just really makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think I'd ever really appreciated that very much before now. So there's a lot going on in this film, and I kind of don't really know where to start.
We could start at the beginning with the CGI.
We could start at the beginning. I was going to say, I made a list of all of the important scenes, which was really difficult to boil it down to just a series of scenes. But so effectively, it's The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, and that's based on book. Yeah. Or is book. Wizard of Oz is book.
Yes.
And then movie.
Yes.
And then sequel.
Yes. And then remake.
And then reimagination. Reimaginings. Yeah.
we start at the very beginning. We get straight into things, which is something I really appreciate about this film. It does not fuck around.
Yeah. It's pretty lean as well.
Yeah. An hour and 40 minutes and it zips by.
And it's just packed with stuff as well.
Yeah. But we get very quickly introduced to Sarah, who seems like maybe a little bit of a fantasist.
A little bit? She's LARPing in the park. That's the first time we see her.
On her own.
Yeah. Oh, bless her.
I know. I would have befriended her. But I think it's sort of telling that she's maybe a little bit older or looks a little bit older than the average child that would be playing dress up in a park.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that actually, but yeah.
Because I think...
Well, nowadays... I don't know, what was it like back in the good old days? Were kids allowed to be kids before they had screens shoveled down their throats as soon as they exited the vagina? There you go, have a fucking screen. You've been awake for 35 seconds. You ain't got a fucking screen in front of you. Swallow that, you bastard. And shut up.
Oh my God. Not a fan of iPad babysitters then. Yeah, I don't know. She's supposed to be like, what, 14?
Yeah, I think so. I think she was 14.
Jennifer Connelly was 14, yeah, and 15 when the movie actually came out. And so I think, like, to me, the film is sort of about a reluctance to let go of childhood things.
Yeah, okay.
So to me, the fact that she's a little bit older than you would expect kind of is in keeping with that theme.
Yeah, definitely fits that idea. Because I guess it's sort of a coming of age movie.
Yeah, in a way.
If you look at it from that lens, anyway. I found more the don't hang on to things in general sort of theme.
Don't hoard. Do you think it's an anti-hoarding message?
Don't be a hoarder or you'll turn into a manky old grey puppet with a house on your back. Right? You'll be the garbage lady.
I love the garbage lady.
Yeah, the character from Home Alone 2 was based on that. It was inspired by that.
The character from Home Alone 2?
Yeah, the bird lady.
The one who looks like Piers Morgan.
Yeah, yeah, that one. I love that for Piers Morgan.
I hate that for the bird lady, though.
I couldn't agree more, yeah. Give the bird lady a talk show.
Yeah.
Fuck off Piers Morgan. Put a screen in front of him and shut up. That's what I say.
Is that just what you do with people you don't like now?
Yeah.
Babies.
Yeah.
Racist TV pundits.
Yeah, all racists, actually.
Yeah.
Not just the ones that are on telly. I don't like regular racists either.
No, they're not great.
No, they're not my favourite.
No. Not ideal human beings.
No.
But yeah, so we start at the beginning. She's in a park. Starts pissing it down, so she runs home. Dad and stepmom, which we're introduced to through fairly expositionary dialogue, but it's economical and it's fine.
What do you mean in terms of that's her stepmom?
Well, she literally has a line about like, oh, she thinks I'm just this wicked stepmother.
Right. Oh, of course. Yes, I forgot that phrase. Yeah.
So yeah,
I suppose that is supposed to encapsulate quite a lot of information for you.
Yeah.
And explain why Sarah is essentially a bit of a knobhead.
Well, she's a teenage girl.
Exactly.
That's
why
a given.
I said a bit of a knobhead.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody who's encountered a teenage girl knows that. Yeah, they clear off out. She's left babysitting a baby brother, which she resents.
Toby.
Who
originally was called Freddie or Teddy or something. I forget the original name.
But the baby wouldn't respond to anything other than his own name because he's a baby.
Yeah. But also, if you can't pretend to be someone else, you shouldn't be an actor.
I don't think the baby at 1 year old was just like, I would like to go into the industry. Papa.
I have dreams, family. I'm going to make it big. Like, just puts a suitcase on top of the car, drives one of those little red and yellow cars that you had in the 80s. Do you remember the ones?
I do.
Pedals.
Cozy Coupe.
Oh, I fucking always wanted a Cozy Coupe.
Me too.
Bastard never got one, did he? Oh, I would get one now. If they did adult-sized ones, I would fucking get one.
Would you?
Yeah, of course.
Pedal it around.
In the garden, yeah.
Did they have pedals or was there a hole for your feet and you just kind of went like that, like a Flintstone?
It might have been a Flintstone car, yeah. It might have been. I wouldn't know, I never had one.
No, me
I just
either.
saw the pictures in the Argos catalogue. I was like, I want one of them. My parents were like, no chance.
Yeah, and I was
Watch RoboCop again.
I was never brave enough to fight for my turn in the early learning centre, so I just used to stand there wistfully watching other children hogging it and going,
Oh, no.
one day.
Oh, no. I used to like playing with the train set in the early learning centre.
They were cool.
The little wooden things, weren't they, I think?
Mm-hmm.
I loved them so much that I was out shopping with my nan one day, and I must have been about, I guess, 4 or 5. And I remember sort of images, but I don't know, it could just be that my parents retold us the story and it's sort of been cemented in there. But I do know that we were shopping in C&A, and I was coats and hats. And I was so fucking bored, just like after I'd been standing in like the shirt bit for a while, you know.
For probably about 10 seconds, knowing you.
I'm bored. And I just fucked off out of C&A and I ran to the early learning centre and just played with the trains. And I was a lost child for a while.
Oh my God.
I guess my nan must have thought, all right, where would he go? Little bastard. Like, no police were phoned. No one was contacted. My mum wasn't notified. I think my nan just found me, and then just I probably went back to coats and hats.
Were there early learning centres in Portugal? Did we just solve the Madeleine McCann disappearance?
Yeah.
I think she just fucked off.
The missing piece of the puzzle is a wooden train set.
Yeah.
It always is in murder mysteries, though, isn't it?
Solved it. Next.
It's so obvious when you think about it. People are like going to be, oh no, slapping their heads. Madeleine McCann, the wooden train. Should have known all along.
She went for that fucking cozy coupe. It was her downfall. So,
should we talk about the movie?
Back to Labyrinth. Sarah's really pissed off because she's got to babysit, so she wishes that the goblins would come and take her baby brother away.
Yeah. And is that the first time you see the goblins in like full? Because they're sort of hinted at before that, aren't they? Like they're in the background and they're popping around the place.
Well, you do sort of see them because you get that shot of them all kind of crammed in somewhere going, oh, she's going to say the words.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that's the first shot of like a full-faced, like, so you're getting an introduction to like the sort of the puppets and stuff. And I like that. And it's very funny because they have a bit of banter and they argue with each other and they're always bickering.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. It's a very nice way to introduce that silly side of it, I guess. Yeah. Because up till that point, it was a bit po-faced, I would say.
It was just kind of like a standard 80s coming-of-age movie up until that,
yeah.
Until like 8 minutes in.
But I suppose you're right, though. That is them going, right, this is the person, this is her situation, she hates babies, understandable.
Well, we don't know that she hates all babies.
She hates that baby.
Can we just talk about that for a second? So
I don't know. Where's this going?
So Jareth, the Goblin King, wants to abduct Toby, take him away to the castle, and if Sarah doesn't come and rescue him within 13 hours, then he'll just keep him and turn him into a goblin.
Oh, is that the plan?
Yeah.
Right.
He will turn him into a goblin. So is the implication there that all of the goblins were once former babies that were abducted?
I guess so.
Because that's kind of horrifying when you think about it like that.
Yeah, that is horrifying. So Bowie has been stealing babies, Jareth.
He's the child catcher.
Yeah. And was that like the child catcher is an actual person caught children then?
No, that's in Chi Chi Bang Bang, darling.
Oh.
I think you're thinking of paedophiles.
Yeah, probably. It probably is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Which, so is the implication that that's what Jareth might be? Or is at least abducting children and using them as slaves?
Look, let's talk about the elephant in the room. A lot of people don't like this movie because they think there's some underlying like sinister tones to it.
Yeah, which there definitely are.
Which there are, but it's never sort of overshadowed by I don't really know what I'm trying to say. Look, I feel like I have a good grasp on who Jim Henson was. I don't think he was trying to get some weird inappropriate romance shoehorned into his movie.
No.
And a lot of people, like I've seen a bunch of sort of Gen Z on TikTok recently trying to cancel this movie, saying it's disgusting.
Okay.
I'm just like, well, it is in places, but not for the reasons you're talking about. Mostly the Bog of Eternal Stench. But I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, but he's this grown man lusting after and obsessing over a 14-year-old girl. And I'm just like, yeah, he's the villain.
Yeah.
We're not romanticizing this.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think the film is trying to say, but he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's not co-signing age gap relationships.
No, it's not doing that, is it? Do you know what the difficult thing is? It's because maybe it's Bowie, and maybe because that character, it's not just that it's Bowie, but that character is obviously Sarah is the main character, but the thing you kind of remember most is probably Bowie. It's a Bowie. His songs are in it. He's the guy, the magic guy that's doing all the things with the balls and the snake goblins.
Yep.
But yeah, it's maybe that's partly what it is, because it's quite heavily centered around that. Yeah, and you're right. He is the villain. He is the bad guy. You're not meant to go, oh, I hope Jareth wins.
Yeah.
But you're sort of dropped into this world, and it's like, let's have fun with this world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's sort of talking about some semi-serious stuff in the themes and stuff. It doesn't go too deep, and it's quite frivolous and cutting and anarchic in the way that it discusses things. But I also think that it just sort of drops you into it. It just sort of drops you into this weird world, and it's like you could go any different way and look at it in any sort of way that you want. But I think to try and cancel it is a bit strong.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe let's look at like Lolita first.
Well, look,
although I don't know the context on Lolita.
I have a lot to say about Lolita. Look, that book has been
It's based on book.
Adapted twice, and people still willfully misunderstand what's going on.
Okay.
But that's a hill I'll die on another day.
Okay, maybe when we inevitably cover Lolita.
We could. We've not.
Oh,
we've only.
Lolita.
No.
It won't be in my season, put it that way.
Have we done any Kubrick?
We have not done any Kubrick, have we?
Ooh.
Because we haven't done 2001 yet, or your favourite Kubrick.
Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah.
The Shining, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those.
We will.
But no, we haven't.
Okay, maybe adaptations theme.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Labyrinth once more.
Labyrinth. we were talking about we were gonna start talking about some scenes earlier.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this on the train on the way home from work the other day. Like, what scenes stand out to me before we watched it? But that's the problem, isn't it? I started making notes.
Trying to narrow it down is the hard part.
Yeah. And you could just talk for hours about what went into the scenes and what they are and how funny they are and stuff. But the very first thing that I thought about and I wrote down was just the worm. And it's all, I don't know, that seems to be the thing that's the most enduring, I think, in this movie for me, is just the worm. Because I relate to that worm.
Do you?
Yeah.
In what way?
He sounds like he's sort of from East London, Essex. Hello, come and meet the missus. It's like, I know that worm.
You don't want to go that way.
Yeah, I grew up with that worm.
Did you?
That worm is my family and me. And I've got a red scarf.
You do have a red scarf, and you spray painted your hair blue at a festival the other week.
Oh no, I did. You're right.
You are turning into the worm.
I am turning into the worm. Maybe I should do the worm and go full worm.
Halloween's coming up.
Okay, I'm the worm from Labyrinth.
Okay.
The Labyrinth.
Labyrinthy.
I don't know why. That's something that always comes to mind first, and I think it's a way smaller thing in a movie than I sort of remember. It's weird that that's the thing that I think.
Yeah, I mean, that worm has one scene.
Yeah.
And then we never see him again. Even at the end.
No, it doesn't even come back. Like, should you need us?
Yeah.
Should you need a worm?
No one needs the worm, apparently. No. It's very sad. It's just a tragedy about how everybody forgets the worm.
Everyone does forget the worm.
Yeah.
It is a tragedy. You're right. Bring back the worm.
Yeah. Maybe Eggers will.
I think Eggers will. I think the whole thing will be told from the perspective of the worm.
The worm's the main character this time.
The worm's the main character, yeah.
And what's the story?
Seagulls are a pain in the arse.
Are there seagulls in the labyrinth?
Yep, they're in the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be seagulls.
No, I mean in the labyrinth itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
The chickens are replaced with seagulls. There's seagulls in the Eggers one.
Okay. Guard your chips, everyone.
So what stands out to you then as a...
In terms of what stands out, again, I can't narrow it down.
when someone says to you the movie Labyrinth, think of Labyrinth, what's the very first image that comes into your mind, do you think?
The first is probably the Dance Magic Dance scene.
Dance Magic Dance.
Just, I listen to that song on Spotify an alarming amount very regularly.
Yeah. I
mean, you hear it fairly often, I think.
I hear it in my brain as well. It's one of those songs that just don't... all day long, my brain's been going... Duh, duh. Oh, no, not again. But yeah, and you do play it a lot.
Yeah.
So you think about that scene?
I think so, yeah, because there's so much about this film that's iconic, but that outfit particularly that Jareth wears, everybody's got a sweet waistcoat in this movie.
Yeah, it's full of sweet waistcoats.
I never realised until this viewing, everybody's got a sweet waistcoat.
It's because they're all magicians.
Yeah, and it was the 80s.
Yeah. Before the Kaiser Chiefs ruined waistcoats and Peaky Blinders. You can't fucking wear a waistcoat anymore. Everyone thinks you're a cunt.
Especially if you pair it with a flat cap.
Or as a group of you just walking around London in flat caps and waistcoats, you're just like, let's stay away from these. Let's not enter into conversation with these people. The Magic Dance is definitely high up on my list as well of things that I think of. Like I say, that song just lives in bam bam, just lives in my head. All the bam bam. You remind me of the Babe.
What Babe?
The Babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Who do?
You do.
Do what?
Do what? Remind me of the Babe.
We got a little bit confused there, but yeah. It's so memorable.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Even like the stripy onesie that the baby has on. You see a baby in a stripy onesie, red and white, and you're just like, oh, Labyrinth. Not that it happens often.
I don't look at many babies, to be honest with you, Sarah. I don't know what you're doing.
I try not to. But yeah, and just like having watched the behind the scenes stuff as well, just about how many puppeteers were involved and
with
how the set was not with the baby. The baby was puppeteered by the baby.
Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Without context, that's a very strange reference for you to drop in.
I was wondering whether or not to give it more context. People that know.
Yeah. If you know, you know. Yeah. I hate that. Yeah, just the sheer number of people involved in it and how the set was constructed and how it was basically, well, they described it as being like Swiss cheese, didn't they? Because there were so many holes for people to stick their arms through and then...
Oh, God, a structural engineer's absolutely a nightmare. Well, we haven't done the calculations on this, but we're reducing it from one piece of ply to half a piece of ply. There's no way that the structural integrity is going to hold. I bet they were just like, fuck it, just get on with it, do it.
But I feel like not only that, but just the whole film is kind of a logistical nightmare. Right? Because...
Yeah, of course. Because the puppets, you mean?
Well, the puppets, the animals, a baby.
Fuck, yeah, I forgot about the animals, yeah.
There's so much going on. And as Jim Henson said himself, there's like 3 things that you never want to work with in film. And he had to do all 3 of them. Mm. And he did it.
He did it. He did do it.
Yeah. And yes, it was the last film he ever directed. But I think that was largely because it flopped, because it's a big old floppy flop.
Yes, and that's why it's in this season.
Yeah. He took that hard.
Oh, did he?
He did.
Oh, no.
He was gutted.
I wonder what, do you know what the actual kind of critics' response was to it when it came out? Like, aside from financially?
I don't really.
I don't either.
I think some people considered it to be a bit of a mess.
Right. Well,
which I find curious because the level of craft that's on show is kind of immeasurable and there's no flab in it whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mess. I think it's a very tight, lean...
consistent film with strong characters and you know, a pretty good direction. I don't really...
And the characters are they're not like overly fleshed out. You just get a gist of what these characters are, and they're sort of more kind of archetypes in a way.
Yeah, it's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, well, I suppose it is. Yeah, is that where the archetypes come from?
I mean,
Is it Wizard
kind
of Oz?
of like the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion,
Yeah.
like the people
Yeah.
that she meets along the way, and they kind of form a group
Right, a group of people, and you've
as
got all
the
these
journey
different
goes.
personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see the connections. You see, I've never
Yeah.
seen the Wizard of Oz. That's the problem.
Okay.
But I'm aware of it. That there's a big sunflower in the field or something, right? And the Tin
Sure.
Man. He's got like a what are those? The funnels. He's got like an upside down funnel on his head, and but
Yeah.
it's a metal one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it.
But they're going to see a wizard instead of a Goblin King.
Right, and they're in Australia.
Are they?
Well, I don't know. I just assumed that they were in Australia.
I think they're in a fictional land because their house blows away. Look, this is a different conversation for a different day.
Is it though? Because it's very in keeping with what this is. You mentioned the kind of the group mentality, like building your kind of your friends, your friendships, your found family, and like moving through on this journey with them. It's I don't know. It's very it's like sort of very adult in a way as well. Like it is a coming of age story, but I feel like it sort of applies to many different ages, like the anti-consumerism stuff. It's plastic. Give me that fucking plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah, you don't need things. It's an interesting movie that I think it's sort of changes, I guess, different periods in your life when you watch it. Anyway,
Yeah.
for me, anyway, I guess, like what it is.
I mean,
a bit like Starship Troopers.
Yeah, it's just like Starship Troopers. Yeah, I think there are definitely different readings you can have on this film, and people do have different interpretations. One of which is just that Sarah's deeply mentally ill.
That is definitely one. I suppose, yeah.
And her psyche's just fracturing.
She's just imagined all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, I suppose that's heavily implied by the fact that everything that happens in this movie is in her room.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. It is definitely making you, on purpose, asking that question, is she inside?
Do you think it is? Like,
yeah, probably. Probably. Let's be honest. What's more likely? That David Bowie can juggle with crystals and turn them into a snake, or that you're probably mental? Can I say mental?
It's not super politically correct anymore.
I apologise.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think it's a fun theory.
Yeah.
Not for Sarah, obviously.
Is it fun? It's a bit bleak, I suppose. Would your preferred reading be, yeah, the goblins are real and all babies turn into goblins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl's got a dream.
I wonder why that was the kind of the premise of the movie. Like, how did it get to that? Was it Henson that had the original nugget, or Froud, or what? It's like, let's steal a baby and turn it into, if they don't get it back, it's going to turn into a goblin.
Honestly, I don't know who had what ideas. I do know the story changed, or seemingly changed, quite a lot from Inception to what we get on screen.
It's nothing like Inception.
Leo DiCaprio's not even in it, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it feels very Henson. But then, I don't know, maybe that's just the imagination that's on show. Maybe that's my bias talking. I don't know. It was definitely a collaborative effort from what I understand anyway. Lots of people contributed ideas. In terms of other kind of standout scenes, what else sticks out to you?
To me, I suppose Boggle. Just in general, the character Boggle.
Hoggle!
Oh no, do you know what? Actually, no, we'll get back to Boggle because I've got a bit to talk about Gobble.
Oh my god, it's getting worse.
It's an interesting character.
Yeah.
But I suppose the Pseudidymus bit, if we're sort of jumping forward a bit, and the whole bridge situation, maybe when I was a kid, maybe that was my favourite.
Ambrosius?
Yeah. I seem to remember just finding that quite hysterically funny.
Yeah.
Especially when he's like bumping into the roof and stuff like that, and riding the dog as if it's a horse, the jousting. And
it's still hysterically funny.
It is. Just how relentless that puppet character is. Like you pointed out earlier when we were watching it. Ludo sort of
yeets
him behind a rock and just immediately just springs back.
I love it.
It's so funny. Yeah, it's done so well.
But the sound effects and everything are just marry up perfectly.
Yeah. I think maybe that sort of sticks out to me quite a bit because I think maybe that's my favourite funny part of this movie.
Okay. So Didymus does get a lot of the funny lines.
But there's so much else. It's hard to pinpoint, really. Like we could probably this could have been an entire episode of just going through the scenes. I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
But it could have been. We could just be like, right, let's break down this thing and not one of those awful YouTube videos where they just explain the plot to each other.
Yeah, we're not here to do that. But there's so many really intricately built scenes that you only see once as well. Like just the sheer attention to detail. Like the worm. Or I think a lot of my favourite stuff are, obviously because it's kind of like a journey. I was going to say a road movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a road movie.
It's kind of a road movie. But she's meeting these people in passing, so they often don't return.
Yeah. But that's, like you say, a bit of a road movie, and road movies are sort of often like just a metaphor of going through life, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's the other sort of angle that I sort of look at this movie on, is not just the coming of age, but the general life journeys. You build your family, your friends and stuff, and you meet people along the way, and some of them sort of help you along the path, and you don't really see them again. Some people stick around, and that's fine. And also, like that character who's got the bird hat.
Yeah.
He says, what does he say? Even when you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, you still are getting somewhere, or something like that. And I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like it's just just the way of sort of navigating through the labyrinth to try and get to this thing that you think is the goal or whatever, the aim, which is a good thing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good to have that, but it shouldn't just be the focus.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. And the people you meet along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bird hat head thing was supposed to be in it much more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a funny character as well.
Yeah. So stimulating being your head. There was supposed to be a bar scene where he was just chatting incessantly at other people.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I know. I don't think they ever filmed it.
Oh no.
It was canned. But yeah. Good character.
Who's your favourite character?
Ludo.
Okay. Why?
Your question might as well have been, who is your favourite character and why is it Ludo?
Right.
That can't have been a surprise to you.
No, I suppose not. But a bit like trying to pinpoint a favourite scene in this.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of the characters, they have different things going for them. I think for me, the most memorable is probably Higgle. But I know that you do love Ludo, and so I thought that maybe you might say Ludo. But what is it about Ludo?
Can we just go back to Hoggle?
Biggle.
Hoggle. I love Hoggle as a character. I think he's got quite a good redemption arc.
Yeah.
Visually, almost as grotesque as Gwildor.
No, Gwildor could have been in this movie.
Yeah, he could have done.
He could get to the labyrinth if he could only just remember the tones. Do, 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 do.
There's a crossover in there somewhere. Yeah. Ludo's just.
He's a friendly beast. He's a friendly
he's
giant.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And he's misunderstood. And I think I'm always drawn to characters like that.
Okay.
When I was in college doing film and media studies, I think I've talked about this before. I did a whole kind of really long essay about the small-mindedness in small soldiers and how we shouldn't judge people on their appearance alone, and just
Gorgon.
Yeah. But they were the ugly ones in inverted quotes. And so I think I've always been drawn to characters that are misunderstood.
Yeah, but Ludo does look like a beast, and he has
it's got
big teeth.
Horns. Does he have horns? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has a bit.
He's got big ears.
Yeah.
Big floppy ears. Oh, he's lovely.
And that scene when he's introduced as well, like I can see you getting all emotional.
I know. They're biting him. I don't like it. I feel very protective over Ludo.
I didn't realise until our viewing today that it was him summoning the rocks.
There's literally dialogue about it.
Yeah, you're right.
He does it 3 times.
I guess I always thought that those rocks were acting independently and they just rolled towards Sarah. I thought the rocks were sentient.
Well, I think they might be, right? Because how else can he summon them?
But collective
Unless he can.
consciousness.
Well, yeah, but there's got to be something to communicate with.
Yeah. So the rocks are sentient and they're obeying orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocks friends.
Yeah.
I love
Rocks are
it.
friends.
It's so random. Like, we've got this big gentle giant, this kind of scary looking monster, but he's a real sweetheart. But something's missing. How about he can call rocks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what was that conversation about?
Yeah. It's taken weeks to crack that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, got it. Eureka. Jumped out the bath.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. I would love to have. You're right. I'd love to see a making of the movie Labyrinth.
Just the brainstorming sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great. Who's your favourite character?
Oh, I think I respect and enjoy the movie of Loggle because it's such a character with like a redemption arc, like you say, but also it looks cool. Like it is an odd looking puppet, and a lot of work went into it. You mentioned, I think, the 5 people that were involved with that.
Yes, there was obviously there was an actor inside the outfit, inside the head, and I believe she was called Shari Weiser.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Unsung hero of the movie, if you ask
Yeah.
me, because the difficulty she must have had navigating the set with that head on and fake hands as well, and
Yeah.
like matching the movements to the 4 puppeteers who are doing the voice, and somebody's controlling his eyebrows, somebody else is controlling his mouth.
Yeah.
So intricate.
Voice.
There were so many little motors inside that head.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That must have been really hot and heavy as well. Like
Yeah.
physically just difficult to do. But I really enjoyed the movements. I feel like all of those elements came together like just in such a great way.
Yeah.
To breathe life into that character.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, to the point where that character feels real.
Yeah, 100%. It's so impressive. Like, I just watch it and I'm like, this just feels like a real character to me. It's
I kind
crazy.
of feel that way about all of them, though. Like, I just get lost in... I've got goosebumps. I just get lost in it. Like, I'm never sat there watching it going, oh, you're looking at puppets.
Yeah.
I'm just in it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
They feel real to me. And I think that's the difference between puppets and CGI, is that there's something tangible there. And it doesn't really date like effects work.
Not at all. It does this. There's a couple of moments in this movie that have dated.
Yeah,
but
for
they
sure.
were pretty pioneering for the time, and you can definitely forgive it. That it's fine. There's stuff that came out 30 years after that looks way worse.
Yeah.
Birdemic looking at you. And yeah, it's so impressive.
Yeah, on a technical level, all of it is just what an achievement, man.
I think I respect the character more, Boglin, because
it's getting worse.
It's very obvious to me. Not that I'm thinking about it, but I suppose I just know from my research the last couple of days. I'm like, oh, that's such an impressive character. The way she acts it as well, like when she's doing the hops and just spraying like the fairies, very physical, like kind of humor that goes with the head movements and the voice and everything. It's great. It's great. I think that character is amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favourite? Or a least favourite character or least favourite scene or set piece?
Baby.
Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Back off the baby. You don't need a baby in this movie. What can Jareth can steal something else?
The dog.
The dog.
Merlin.
Perfect. Yeah.
Did you know that Merlin, the character, the wizard,
not personally.
His other name was Ambrosius.
Oh, right.
So that was the joke.
Right. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a right type of rice pudding.
Ambrosius custard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So least favourite character is Baby. Least favourite scene?
Baby.
Just anything featuring the baby.
Anything, but that would include the magic dance bit, so maybe I couldn't. Or do you know what?
And also the MC Escher inspired staircase, the impossible room. Like, that would omit that entire sequence.
It would. You'd have to drop all of that, and I'm not willing to do that. I can endure Baby to have those scenes. I don't. It's hard. That's a hard question because you know what? I don't really have a character that I don't. I suppose initially I don't like Boglin at all.
You're getting further and further away from his actual name. By the end of this episode you're just going to start calling him Steve.
Well, now he's called Steve. Right. Yeah, initially I don't like that character, but I suppose you're not meant to. That's kind of the point.
He's abrasive and unhelpful and
a coward.
Yeah.
But then is kind of the opposite of those things in some ways.
He redeems himself and he sees the true value of friendship.
Yeah, he still wants a fucking plastic
and
bracelet.
Plastic. Yeah.
He hasn't learned all the right lessons. You don't need that. You need it. You need that as much as you need a Polly Pocket, sir. Friendship
and also consumerism.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't have a least favourite character. The stepmother, maybe, because she's nothing. She's a nothing character. She's just there to serve a purpose to explain who Sarah is. She swiftly fucks off. You don't see her again. So no, I don't know, none. Have you got a least favourite character? Go on.
It's 5 that are tied.
Oh, it's the Bloodhound Gang.
The Fire Gang.
That's right.
Chilly down with the Fire Gang. I hate that song, but it's fucking catchy, man. Yeah. I hate it, but it's so catchy.
I don't. That scene gets a lot of people have a problem with that scene now, don't they? Or is it the effects, or is there something else that? I
think. Well, we were just talking about some of the effects that haven't dated quite as well. That's certainly one of them. I think I keep wanting to call it green screen, but it's not. It's effectively black screen, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess I didn't fully understand what they did, but I know that they shot the dancing puppets while in a black room while everyone was dressed in black to operate the puppets and stuff.
Each one had 3 different operators.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And from a technical perspective, I have nothing but admiration for the people involved in that scene. I just fucking hate those characters.
Do you?
They can rot in hell.
I think that they pull off their heads though and use them as drones.
I hate them.
That's the perfect design when you think about it. I would love to be able to pull off my head and use it as a drone. Just
They're
do some
idiots.
Reconnaissance up ahead of me before I enter a situation. That's what you need. It's evolution. Yeah, it's part of the human evolution process, right. I'm telling you. In 25 years, we'll be able to take off our heads and control them with remote controls.
Our spinal column will be meaningless.
Yeah. Pretty much. What
Cervical spine, who needs it?
Elon says we don't need spines anymore.
Elon says we don't need empathy anymore as well.
Yeah.
Look where that's got him.
I would say Elon's never needed a spine. Let's not get.
He's a fucking jellyfish. I hate him. Anyway.
And he's not a mammal.
He's a mollusk in the shape of a man. But Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Elon Musk is your least favourite Labyrinth character.
He's my least favourite character in life, I think, as well.
I'm sorry, we were moving away from that and I brought it right back to it.
You did. I'm going to take it back to Red Dwarf again. Because we have another connection to Red Dwarf.
It's always Chris Barry. There's always Chris Barry's connections in this podcast. One thing we can promise you is movies that don't fit the theme and a Chris Barry reference somewhere along the line.
And some inappropriate jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny John Jules voiced one of the Fire Gang.
Oh, he was a voice. I was listening and there was a couple of moments where I was like, that could be... I wasn't sure which one it was.
Right.
But I sort of caught a couple of bits of dialogue where I thought it could be that guy. But they all talk about taking off their heads and there is... It's impossible to tell, really. There are too many. 5 is probably too few for a gang, but it's too many for this film. You could have had 3 of those.
5 is an okay number for a gang. You've got to start somewhere. I think it was 2, then that would be a pair. That wouldn't be a gang.
I don't think you can really call yourself a gang until you get to 10. Then you might be getting into gang territory. But before that, you're just a group. Right? Like a Facebook.
I disagree. I think
group.
5 people can be a gang.
So if there are 10 people that read books, 5 people that read books together, there'd be a book gang.
Book gang, yeah.
Right. Okay.
See you later, sweetheart. I'm just going to the book gang.
What now?
What colour bandana do you wear for that?
We just know bandanas, but we have to wear roller skates and dungarees.
I love it. I'm in.
We gang.
I'll make badges. You sort out an itinerary. Right.
Back to the Labyrinth.
I feel like there's a bunch of really iconic stuff that we haven't even mentioned. So I want to speed run some of it because I think it deserves a mention. I love Alf and Ralph.
Oh, remind me who Alf and Ralph are.
They're at the door. One of us always tells the truth.
Oh.
One of us always lies.
The card people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently they were Alf and Ralph and Alf B and Ralph B.
Right.
But then that was changed to Alf and Ralph, and then the bottom ones are Jim and Tim.
Of course it is, yeah. That was going to be what I guessed.
I just love that these characters whose names we never learn have names.
Yeah.
Like Jim Henson's just like everybody's worthwhile. They're all valid.
Yeah.
All puppets matter.
Yeah.
So I do love them. They're funny. The Helping Hands straight after that, I think is a fantastic set piece. She chose down.
Yeah, after she says it's a piece of cake and there's a bit of hubris there, she gets dropped in a hole.
Did you notice the number of times people say it's a piece of cake and then something terrible happens immediately after?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was inspired by Labyrinth.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the same universe.
Yeah, Michael Crichton definitely didn't write the book. When did he write the book? It doesn't matter. So, back to the hole. Yeah, the hole of hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the tunnel of hands.
Helping Hands.
Helping Hands.
Called, yeah.
Yeah, and it drops. It's like a 40-foot rig or something that they dropped Jennifer Connelly into.
Yeah. And
she's just falling and they're grabbing her. 75 extras or something in that.
Wow.
Again, like logistically, like how many cups of tea are you going through that day? Loads.
I don't think that's their biggest concern.
No.
Obviously, hydration is important.
Should be. A production probably 20 quid a head per plate. It's cost a fortune some of these days.
So you think that's where the 25 million budget went?
It's always catering. Yeah.
Or John Travolta's fee.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then shortly after that, we've got the oubliette.
The oubliette.
The oubliette, which I thought was like a nonsense word that was made up for this film. Turns out it was a real thing.
Right, and it means a dark cave with
it means
a drill in it.
An oubliette was basically a prison that only had one way in and out, and that was a hole in the top.
Oh, like Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. He was in an oubliette.
He was born in the dark. He was born in an oubliette. It hasn't got the same ring to it.
It doesn't, no. It's not quite as catchy.
No. That was the first draft.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
They refined it.
Tom, what do you reckon? He was born in the dark. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Let's release that. I didn't know what an oubliette was until this movie. And I still didn't think it was real until just now, what you said. It
was generally used by people who wanted to forget about their prisoners. Because I think, like, there's a loose translation. It's derived from a French word. The loose translation is like to forget or something.
Okay.
So it's where you dump prisoners that you don't want to have to worry about. You just leave them to starve and die.
Wow.
Horrifying.
You don't have to physically murder them yourself, but you can bury them somewhere. So when they die, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Which is worse.
Yeah. We've then got the door knockers.
Yeah.
Which we do definitely need to talk about.
Yeah, we've got to talk about the knockers. You have some knockers.
I do have knockers, yeah. You bought me some knockers.
Yeah, I did. Got you some knockers, didn't I?
They're on the fridge. Not every woman can say that.
No.
Yeah, they're great. And I really relate to the deaf one.
Yeah.
Because the number of times in my daily life, I also go, huh? Is alarming.
Yeah.
But I do like them. And I love just the background shit with Ludo fucking around with the knocker.
Yeah, putting it in his mouth.
I love it.
Copying what the door guy does.
Yeah.
What were their names? The knockers. They're just called the knockers.
I don't know if they must have names.
Like Terry and June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've already mentioned the introduction of Sir Didymus. We've got the Bog of Eternal Stench.
Yeah, of course.
Revolting.
It's grotesque.
It's revolting.
Yeah.
What do you think the Bog of Eternal Stench smells of?
The Travel Lodge.
The Travel Lodge in Kingston.
Yeah.
You better hope they're not listening.
The Travel Lodge after I've been there. That's my qualification. Once I've left.
What are you eating? It must
It's a
be
grotesque scene.
the worst smell imaginable because
They really do a good job of like making you feel that smell, don't they? By the
Yeah.
visuals
it's horrible.
and the noises.
Like the little, like it's some sort of marsh that has buttholes. Like, it's horrible.
It's like algae with and like lily pads, but with anuses that are just farting out gas.
Yeah, horrible.
And the bubbling kind of water, this like a sewage thing.
I've
It's
never
horrible. It's like
never
Jaywick.
seen Jaywick. I've never seen a body of water with so many prolapsed anuses.
No.
And I probably never will again.
This is the most prolapsed anuses that I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
I bet that's not true.
No, it's probably not, actually.
A movie that had a mainstream release. Maybe qualify it with that.
Yeah. The sort of movie you can eat popcorn with.
Well, you only need one hand to eat popcorn.
That's true.
So we've got the Sarah eats the peach and has the ballroom hallucination.
Yeah, I guess so. Boggle gives her the peach. He's like,
Bobble now.
He didn't even want to give her the peach, but he does it because he's still scared at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And she hallucinates the masquerade ball, which is where the word for mask comes from, as you educated me to today. And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that does make sense, actually.
Apparently that was the easiest scene to film because it didn't involve any puppets, children or animals.
Yeah. I bet they flew through that. I bet that was such a lovely couple of days. Put this in the middle of the schedule so that we can relax a bit.
But I do love the attention to detail. Obviously, it's pretty obvious that everything in this movie, as you already said, relates to stuff that's in Sarah's bedroom. But down to like the gown that she's wearing and the stuff in her hair, she looks just like her mom did in the picture in her mirror.
Yeah, I thought that the picture of in the mirror that we see at the end, I thought that did look a lot like Jennifer Connelly, actually. And I wondered if there was like some time loop thing going on. But probably not.
It's one of those time loop situations, you know.
Yeah, you probably heard about it.
Garbage Lady, obviously, voiced by the woman who also did the voice for Belina in Return to Oz.
Right.
Another 80s flop that I love.
Which could have been on this season.
Could have been.
Yeah.
We'll cover it at some point. And then the last one, I guess, the most memorable in the finale is the Mecha Goblin. I love that. Like, I still love that. Just where the doors kind of slot together and then out pops it. Fucking genius.
Yeah.
Fucking genius.
It's way better than Megazord.
By a country mile. It's no contest.
Yeah. I always forget about that, though. When that scene comes on, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's this bit. I forget about this. But it's so cool. Just the design of it. You're right.
Like, it would never work.
No.
Because where the goblin that was piloting it was smack bang in the middle of its head. So where was that previously?
Where was his head?
No, where was the goblin? It's just off to one side.
It was half. Yeah, it was half in. It was still like fused. It's like a Pacific Rim situation, I guess.
Is it right?
But it's like right down the middle, and half of his body would have been on each side of the door. So and then when they join, they'd like come to life.
The goblin.
Yeah.
The little goblin that was piloting it in the head.
The little goblin. Yeah.
So that was in half as well.
Yeah.
Right.
The big thing was in half, and then the thing inside it was in half.
I thought I was overthinking this, but maybe I've been underthinking it.
Layers. And then inside the goblin, there was another thing controlling the goblin, and that was in half. Yeah.
Oh, was it like Men in Black? Was there a little alien in there?
Yeah, exactly like Men in Black, and it kept going all the way down, infinitely. Yeah.
So, do you know some of the other people that were considered for Bowie's role?
I've heard a couple. What research did you happen upon?
Well, the main one that I kept seeing mentioned was Michael Jackson.
Which would have made that whole he takes children
slightly more problematic.
A bit more of a problem, yeah.
I think Gen Z might have more of a case for cancelling the movie on that basis.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, of course. Sorry, forgot.
Yeah, I hate it. It's never going to work, is it?
It would just be such a different film.
Yeah, it would be the Moon Boy. What's that called?
The Moon Boy.
Moonraker? Or is it, no, that's the James Bond one. Moonwalker? This must be called Moonwalker, mustn't it?
Yeah.
Is it called Moonwalker?
I don't know.
The Joe Pesci Michael Jackson thing where Michael Jackson turns into a spaceship or something.
I feel like, do you know what? He was in The Wiz, which was another adaptation of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All yellow brick roads lead back to the
Michael
Wizard
Jackson.
of Oz. Also Sting.
I don't have the vitriolic hate of Sting that you have.
I don't know where that comes from, but I do despise the man.
Yeah, but he's not. He doesn't have anything, does he? Is he? He's not really a character. I think he's quite boring.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly strike me as charismatic.
No.
I don't see that at all.
No, he's done a couple of movies. He was in that June.
Oh yeah, of course he was.
Is it who did that? Was it Cronenberg?
Lynch.
Lynch, of course it is.
Yeah.
The Lynch June and
Different David. One of the Davids.
Yeah, one of the weird Davids. That's why I confused them. And he did. He was in that Guy Ritchie movie, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, as the dad of Nick Moran or something, I think.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
But he wasn't like, he's in it and then he's not. He sort of disappears. But it's not like I watch it and go, oh, you are such a talent. You could do anything you want.
You should have been in Labyrinth.
You should have been in Labyrinth playing the Jareth role. I wouldn't even cast him as the
as
dad.
Hoggle. I could see it.
He does look a bit like Sting, doesn't he? Maybe it was in homage.
Maybe Sting declined their offer and they were like, fuck it, we're redesigning Hoggle.
Yeah. Sorry, I haven't got time to do your little puppet movie.
Yeah.
I'm doing tantric sex 25 hours a day.
That's why I hate him. He takes himself so goddamn seriously.
Yeah.
Get a life. Get a life, Sting. Also, apparently...
you told him.
Mick Jagger. Yeah, because he's listening alongside Stan Winston's kids. And who else from last week? Oh, no, not last week. Tank Girl, sorry.
Tank Girl.
Yeah, Mick Jagger was also considered.
Out of all of them,
Out of those
Jagger,
3 suggestions, Jagger's the best.
Yeah, although, did you see him in Free Jack?
No.
Maybe not on that basis. But if it was between Jackson and Sting, I'd take Jagger probably.
Yeah, me too. But again, David Bowie really made this role his own.
I can't see anyone else doing that.
No.
Not even like there's been a sequel in development for ages now, and the last version of it was Robert Eggers was linked to it in probably about the time that Nosferatu came out, and they were promoting that.
I think it's official now.
Yeah, I think it's official.
Because a couple of other people, like I know Scott Derrickson was attached at one point, Fede Alvarez, I think as well. So I think like it's they've signed on the dotted line now for Eggers.
It does, yeah. Well, it feels like something's going to happen, but who knows?
I think their hardest job is going to be casting the Goblin King.
But that was going to be my question. If it is going to be a sequel and you're going to replace like no one else could have played that character the way that he did, who are you going to possibly... I think you just stay away from that character. I don't see a way of doing it. Who do you cast if you're doing it?
Do people have any interest if there's no Jareth, though?
I don't know. It's a tricky one. Is it worth doing without Jareth?
Maybe not.
I don't know. It's a hard one.
I'm not overjoyed about the prospect of it, but knowing it's in Robert Eggers' hands, I'm more optimistic than I was.
Alvarez feels a bit of an outlier to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love that.
He did a better job with Alien than I thought he would.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
On the whole, I quite like his movies, but I don't know. Maybe he'd be too tempted to go too dark with it. Maybe there'd definitely be loads of goo in it. Way too much goo.
I feel like Robert Eggers is probably pretty close to being like a modern auteur these days, though, because he's like... Fede Alvarez is a decent filmmaker. Robert Eggers has a vision, you know?
Yeah. And it's often kind of like a fantastical situation or like just a weird...
He builds these very off the beaten path but believable worlds.
Yeah, he does. And he seems to do it with quite little as well. It'd be interesting to see what he does if they give him a bunch of money and loads of puppets to work with. Unless they go CGI.
Don't. If it's CGI, I'm not interested.
Yeah. I'd tend to agree with that.
I'm a slut for puppets.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
So Bowie in a sequel, A serious question though, who do you put in that
Tilda
role?
Swinton.
I think that's the obvious answer, isn't it?
It has to be. Who else?
I've thought about it for a while, ever since that news was announced a few months ago, and I can't come up with anyone better.
Unless you go in a completely different direction where he's creepy in a different way and you get like a Dasmalchian.
That's a shout, actually. I like that, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It could just be the Goblin King can be like a mantle that people take. Like, it doesn't have to be Bowie. It can be a different Goblin King, can't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what's happening.
I hope so.
It has to happen. Dasmalchian's a great shout.
But I just worry. I fear that they're going to go in the direction of someone like Bill Skarsgård, especially because Eggers has worked with him before.
Or Ralph Ineson.
And I, yeah. And I don't get me wrong, I'm a big Bill Skarsgård fan, but not in that.
Yeah, I don't know though.
I don't see it.
I thought that about Nosferatu.
Yeah,
Gave
he
him
did
the benefit
bring
of the doubt because it's Eggers, and he is it as well, isn't he? And because of what he did, because when they go back to that as well, like when they cast him, who's this guy? And like, fucking hell, he nailed it.
Well, it was almost Will Poulter.
Right, but I think that he could have done that as well. I liked that cast, and actually, I remember when they cast Will Poulter, and I was like, oh, I love that cast, and then they swapped out for Bill Skarsgård, and I was like, I don't know about that, but he nailed it.
But he did it. Yeah,
then he nailed
did the
Nosferatu, so it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'd be kind of interested to see what he would do with it, I guess.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know is it really going to happen though. I'm a little bit skeptic about it. I don't know if it's a lot of resources, it's a lot of money. The original Labyrinth cost 25 million.
Yeah.
Which I get. I don't know. Is that a lot of money in 1984? I guess relatively. What was Masters of the Universe?
For a movie about puppets, probably.
I don't know.
I wonder what Bowie's fee was.
Yeah.
Because he had done some acting, but he was like, his fame was stratospheric by that point.
He wouldn't have needed to do the movie.
God, no.
So probably, I don't know.
I mean, he'd always had an interest in acting. Like, most of his work on stage was acting.
It's all performance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all performance art. But I don't know. I think he'd sort of expressed an interest in going in a different direction because he'd never done a kids' film before.
Yeah.
So maybe he would have accepted a lower fee because he was just invested.
Maybe. I know that Jim Henson was keen to go with Bowie, and he did pursue him for a little while.
Well, he wasn't initially. His kids talked him into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great shout.
We've got Brian to thank.
Children make a good decision for once.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think when he showed Bowie versions of the script, he just quite liked it and quite enjoyed this kind of silly nature of it, and I guess it must have just admired the creativity. So yeah. There's no one else.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough.
So, ultimately, do you think Labyrinth should have had a much bigger box office? Because it was a flop. I think they made, like, what was it, like 3 million opening weekend or something?
I know that it was 25 million budget.
I think it made 13 worldwide overall.
I think I read like 30, 35.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was some conflicting information though. So who knows, like for sure. I also read that it didn't do great in the States, but it did way better in like overseas and particularly in the UK. It does, like I said, it does feel sort of more of a British thing.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, the worm's British.
It's very offbeat.
Yeah.
Even like the false alarms, the big stone faces.
Yeah.
Having the regional accent. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, go on. Yeah, it is very English. I think it's such a tragedy that it knocked Jim Henson's confidence so much. I know
it is a shame.
Yeah, I know. Much like a lot of the films that we've covered this season, shortly after release, it did start to pick up momentum and gain a bit of a cult following, which is, I think, the only reason any of these films are still remembered, because the people who love them really fucking love them.
Yeah.
Are like rabid about it.
Well, they're the ones buying the Arrow and re-releases, and
please, can somebody just do like the sweetest release of this movie, please?
There is one, isn't there?
I've got the Mondo Steelbook, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. Isn't there? I remember seeing a purple one. I think like a box set thing somewhere.
I said, look,
maybe that's just a DVD with a commentary that I was looking at or something.
Yeah, Just
is there a
somebody,
commentary
please.
with this? Is there? There's not. Obviously, there's not a director's commentary.
There's definitely not a Henson one. No, that would have been epic. But...
He would have been way ahead of his time.
Well, yeah. We're just going to record you talking over the movie for no real purpose, but it might come in handy in the future.
He was pioneering.
Foresight. Yeah. Well, yeah, he was.
There must be versions where like historians or people involved with the production, the kid probably has done commentaries and stuff, and there's probably like screenings and stuff and Q&As because it's very popular.
Yeah.
Like it has
really...
an enduring thing about it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think, like I say, the people who love it really do love it. And I'm very much one of them.
But I wonder if that is going to die out at some point. Like you mentioned about the children trying to cancel it because it's inappropriate. But
yeah,
does that mean that it's, I don't know, in 20 years are people going to be like, what's fucking Labyrinth? I can't see it.
Honestly,
there'll be other versions
of
like Labyrinth 2 and 3 will be out by then.
I think as long as people are breeding, I could have said procreating, but I decided to say breeding.
Yeah.
Because we're all animals.
That works.
As long as people are having kids and introducing their kids to the things that they loved when they were young, I think it will have some sort of enduring legacy.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be forgotten about anytime soon. At least I hope not. But obviously we talked a little bit about themes at the start, and funnily enough, I think nostalgia is kind of one of my biggest takeaways of this movie. Because yes, it's about this 14-year-old girl kind of quote unquote growing up and putting away childish things, but then the scene at the end where they're like, should you need us? And she's like, I do need you for no reason at all. I need you. And it's like, yeah, we do. That's nostalgia. That's what nostalgia is. That's why we embrace things like Stranger Things, because it reminds us of the media that came out in our youth. That's why some people, not me, have collectibles and toys in their house. I don't know. I think that to me is like that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
It's like, don't, and especially coming from Henson, like I think a strong message from him was always like, don't forget your childlike innocence and whimsy and silliness. Embrace it. You don't need to be like that all the time, but don't forget that part of yourself.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
And I kind of love that.
Yeah. It is a very nostalgic movie, and these things are always sort of propped up by, we've got, like we mentioned, sort of Q&A things that happen all the time, the secret cinemas, all of that stuff, like just proves that people are still interested in this stuff.
Well, there's the Labyrinth experience that seems to be happening yearly now in High Wycombe.
Right, it's yearly, isn't it?
Yeah, there was the Labyrinth thing recently that we tried to get tickets for but couldn't. It was like a screening where there was a live musical accompaniment.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, that sounds.
So yeah,
familiar.
there's a lot of stuff still going on.
There is. You've never been to the Labyrinth experience, have you?
No.
Would you like to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, good, because I booked it the other day.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm serious. I got us the Ludo pass. And we're going on a Saturday.
Are you genuinely being honest?
I'm being genuine.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't mess with you like this.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Are we going to dress up?
We could dress up if you like.
You can be the worm.
I can, and I'm going to do the worm. We're going to do the worm.
Do the worm as the worm.
I'm going to do the worm as the worm the whole way there. We're going to drive to High Wycombe, but I'm doing the worm.
Did you really? You're not pranking
I wouldn't
me.
mess with you like this. Yeah.
Oh my god!
That'd be fun.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, good.
I'm doing a happy cry.
Good.
Oh my god! I can't believe you booked it. I did not expect to end this episode crying.
I feel like one of those TV shows when you bring on the kid. You're like, oh, we took you to Disneyland or whatever.
You're my Oprah.
Yeah. There are worse things to be called than Oprah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my god.
So yeah, I guess we'll put in on that and see how that goes.
That's exciting.
Will you feel nostalgic that day?
Yeah.
Are we going to watch it before we go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or are we going to watch it when we come back?
And we'll listen to the soundtrack the whole way there as well.
Way there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm excited.
Good. Good.
Yeah, I don't really have a good way to end this show other than saying I can't overstate how magical I find this movie. And it's almost really hard to articulate why, because everything about it is so great. Everything. We haven't even really mentioned Jennifer Connelly. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's great in it. And to be 14 as well. Like,
still going. You mentioned earlier when we were watching it that was it her first movie that was the Argento one?
I don't know if it was her first,
but she'd already done Argento.
Yeah, I can't imagine this would have been a hard sell after doing a movie where she could communicate telepathically with insects and acting alongside a straight razor wielding chimp.
There are too many things in that movie. They're asking too much of the audience. I'm sorry,
but not of Jennifer Connelly, because she's a goddamn professional, all right?
Yeah, she is a professional. Yeah.
Oh yeah, to me it's.
Is it perfect, this movie?
It's as close to perfect as I can possibly imagine, yeah.
I've been trying to think of things that I don't like about it. Like I don't have the enduring kind of nostalgic love for it quite as much. I do have a bit of it because it was just around, like I say, when I was a kid, but it's not a love, more of an appreciation, I guess. But I do think it's great. But and thinking about it, like, are there things that I can criticize? And I'm struggling.
It's difficult to, yeah.
I'm really struggling. Like, there's usually in films that you can sort of pick something that wasn't right. A million things in Driven.
And Tango.
Yeah, and Tango on many episodes this season. But this is one of those movies that is... it definitely shouldn't have flopped because the quality is too good.
But also, if you look at all the separate elements, it shouldn't have worked either.
How do you mean?
It's bonkers.
The kind of thing that
it's about a teenage girl who goes on an odyssey where she collects friends who aren't people, they're puppets. And also there's a goblin king who kidnaps a baby.
Bowie.
Yeah, he's also international pop star David Bowie.
Yeah, it's like it's asking a lot of you as
it
well.
Is,
yeah.
it is. And a lot of it on paper shouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But just... it's like lightning in a bottle.
This is exactly the phrase that I was thinking of. It definitely feels like one of those situations that if they'd have made this like a month, 3 months before, 3 months after, or they maybe would have not captured the thing that they captured in this.
Yeah, or if it had been Sting,
yeah.
They could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, and it would have, let's be honest. It would have been a Eric Stoltz situation, I think, from Back to the Future.
Although
they'd have shot a month and then gone, like, fuck off, Sting. But some of the back of his head is still in it.
But maybe, butterfly effect, if Sting had been Jareth and I'd watched it as much as I did as a kid, maybe I would love Sting now.
Maybe you would love Sting. Maybe you'd be obsessed with Sting.
I'm not obsessed with David Bowie.
Well, okay.
He's not above criticism.
No. Well, that's true.
Yeah. He did some not great things.
I've heard that some of his albums aren't great.
Yeah, and I don't love every song that he put out, obviously.
I'm not like a big Bowie person. I don't really know much about his...
But I think this is where it started for me. I can trace it back to this film.
And so this is where your obsession with Bowie started?
It's not an obsession. We've just cleared that up,
okay.
Dan.
Okay, fine. I'm glad that you're not so frosty about that. But this is when you first came to know about Bowie, and then you learn about his music, and after that...
Went to see him when I was 20.
Oh, okay. Was that like a big venue, big like Wembley sort of?
Oh, it was, Manchester Evening News Arena. It was massive.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
And I was sitting pretty far away. He's very small, but it was still one of the greatest nights of my life.
Yeah, I bet that was cool. Yeah, okay. What's your favourite era of Bowie? Is it this 80s era because of Labyrinth, or do you separate them, like the actor from the musician, or is it kind of the same person to you? Like, how do you view
it's
that?
all Bowie, even though I know a lot of his music was done in character, and it's hard to say. I'm very fond of late 70s, early 80s. I like the Berlin era stuff.
What's the Berlin era?
When he lived in Berlin for a long time and
of course.
recorded albums there, and was sort of super influenced by the musical trends that were going on there at the time. And yeah, I don't know. Station to Station, man, such a good one. Such a good one. Yeah, it's just He's one of those celebrities that even though he wasn't an angel, like he had some black marks on his conscience, I think, that I'm not going to go into detail, but, you know, he was of that era. They definitely fucked underage groupies.
Okay.
Let's just say that and leave it there. Allegedly, if anybody from the estate of David Bowie is listening.
Like I said, I know almost nothing about any of it.
There's been stories.
Oh, there have been actual stories.
Stories, yeah.
Right, okay.
Which is obviously not great, and I don't believe anybody is above criticism.
No.
But I just think he was just a once-in-a-generation talent.
Mm.
I think he was such an interesting person. I really do.
Is he above criticism?
Not
like social criticism? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, can he be cancelled? I mean, he's dead.
Well,
so
posthumously.
Yeah.
Be difficult.
But if he was alive, would you think that he could have been cancelled?
No.
Or would he have been immune to it?
I don't think cancellation is real.
Well, you know what I mean.
I think if you're Graham Linehan, you can cancel yourself, you fucking moron.
Yeah, but then you can just go on podcasts and moan about being cancelled and make money from doing that. So
my wife left me. Good.
Yeah. Do you know why?
You're a prick.
Yeah. No, it's because I got cancelled. Yeah. Do you know why? You're a prick. But you're right. It doesn't exist.
But I don't know.
But
I don't get sad when celebrities die. Well, maybe I get sad, but I move on with my day.
But did you...
When Bowie died, that hit me hard.
Right.
That was a sad, sad time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it'll be Martin Short.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Assuming that he goes before I do, maybe not. But yeah, so you're not obsessed with Bowie at all, but you were devastated when he died.
Look, obsessed is a strong word. Okay.
Labyrinth is one of your favourite movies. Is this in your top 10? Would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of your favourite movies are kind of dark fantasy, aren't they?
I do love dark fantasy, yeah.
I kept thinking about Nightbreed when
dark
we were watching
fairy
this.
tales.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The whole for me, thinking about Nightbreed going into the Labyrinth or just getting, like, it's different, I suppose. Like Boone's, it's like I've got to get to the Nightbreed or whatever. Midian and the guy that cuts his face off. It's like this thing that they've got to get to. The Labyrinth isn't quite that, but the whole otherworldliness of it made me keep thinking about it. Probably because we watched it very recently. But I kept thinking about that and thinking about how quite a lot of your favourite films are kind of dark fantasy, kind of have a dark fantasy spin on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much part of who you are, I think.
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch these movies with you.
Okay.
I like watching Labyrinth with you. It makes you very happy. Doesn't it?
It does.
You dance a bit.
Gleeful.
Yeah. And I can see you every time you probably get emotional at the Ludo bit. And you've seen it how many times?
I couldn't even tell you at this point.
Yeah.
It's got to be 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm glad you finally got to cover it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been excited. I don't know. This one didn't feel as daunting as like The Thing, for example.
Yeah.
I was just excited about this one. I wasn't nervous.
What was the difference, do you think?
Don't know.
Because I don't know. I can see like they're very similar movies in that.
The way they were received, and then
quite quickly, I guess. Because I remember growing up, it was you've seen Labyrinth, and like everyone's talked about the Labyrinth, and it was great. But I suppose I had no awareness of what flops were back then when I was a kid. But yeah.
Speaking of flops, we've got one more.
Yep.
One left.
Just one. And
it's your choice. It's back over to you.
Yeah.
So what are you treating us to next week?
I'm going to end the season with, and you're welcome, maybe our first computer game movie. Maybe there was another one. I don't know. But we're doing Super Mario Brothers.
Of course we are.
1993.
Of course we are.
Johnny Legs.
Johnny Legs.
Johnny Legs.
Bobby Hoskins.
Yeah. Other guy, what's in Speed? Oh, Denny Hopper.
Denny
Hopper, yeah. And,
do you think because Denis Villeneuve is pronounced that way, you think all Dennises are Denis?
Yeah. Denny Hopper. Denny the Menace. Denny Taylor.
Denis Leary. Let's save that till next week, shall we? Yeah.